Ladies and gentlemen, this is the speed run to end all speed runs in history. This is going to be the speed run to kill everyone else. I am 161 elo currently. Normally I'm 2100, which I would consider expert level. But today we're going to go from 161 and build our way up and try not to lose. We're going to eventually get to 2100. The series is not going to end until I get to 2100. And we're going to broadcast every game for your pleasure. So let's get into it. We're now 161 elo. We have this speedrun account. Don't worry, all of my opponents will be not receiving a refund. Okay, we're playing this guy from Nigeria, I believe. Okay, so I'm going to go d4. Let's go d4. Okay, let's go for the Queen's Gambit. This is an opening I've been learning lately and doing quite well with. Let's play knight c3. Okay, he takes. Now we can put the chicken in the middle. Here we go, e4. The idea, just gaining space. Now we control these squares. Now I guess we can take the pawn back. Should be relatively easy to beat people of this level. I'll tell you guys when the first blunder happens. So far my opponent is playing well. Okay, this pawn's now hanging. I guess we can... where do we want to put the knight? Maybe just here. Play simply. Let's play it simple. Okay. My opponent's playing well so far. Now we can just castle, put the chicken in bed. There we go. Okay, so what's next? Okay, now I'm thinking of the pawn breaks. There's this idea in chess, guys, that whoever controls the pawn breaks controls the game. But if we push here, he can just... Well, he can't push forward because then we take the knight. So here. I think this is probably a good time to do it. Just put more pressure on the center. Okay, my opponent just doesn't... Just gives me a piece. That's the first blunder of the game. There we go. So that's the first blunder of the speed run. Confirmed. And we can't really take with the bishop because then I'll take the queen and trade queens. Okay, now I think we can comfortably just develop the bishop. Where do we want to put the bishop? Let's just put it... We don't have to go too crazy here. Let's just develop the bishop. I think my idea now is to lift the queen, put a rook behind it, put pressure on this piece. And it should be simple. You know, this is the first game, not expecting anything crazy to happen. My opponent's down a knight. And yeah, okay, so let's proceed with our little plan. We're gonna develop the queen a little bit, bring the rook out. Not sure it matters which rook we bring out, but actually, why not this one? Let's just bring this one. There's also knight here. I'm not sure that does anything, but actually it does. Yeah, knight here. We can cook. We can bring the knight in. And he can't really... I mean, he can just move his bishop that way, I guess. But... Okay, now we're threatening maybe this. I think just knight here. Let's keep it simple. More trades we can get, the easier it's going to be. Okay, so he gives me this move. I think we can start by trading queens. We're going to win a pawn here, so let's take first. Let's make sure we trade off on our own terms. Never trade on your opponent's terms. Now, if I take this pawn, he can actually win it back. He can go bishop here. And then when I move, he wins this pawn. So... yeah, let's just go here. If he goes there, I can just take the bishop. So he's not really winning a pawn. Because if bishop here, I can... Okay, he just blunders the bishop. There's another blunder. And it should be GG's. Come on. Hopefully my rating doesn't just go up an awful lot. I might just allow the rating to go up, guys, because I don't think I'm going to get 8 points for this. I'll probably get more than 8 elo for this, which I don't really want. I'd like it to go slower, but I'm sure chess.com is going to give me like 50 rating points for this. So let's just develop the rooks, double the rooks, take the open file. If he plays a3, I don't care. I'll just either take it or play b3. b3 is probably the best move if he pushes this pawn. We can maybe go f3, secure this pawn a bit, therefore allowing the knight to capture here. Okay, let's do that. That looks like a good plan. Let's just develop this pawn, gives our king a nice little square, allows us to take over here. And yeah, now we can just take. If he tries to attack the knight, we can just take again. And this pawn's protected on a2. So yeah, really nothing to be scared about. There we go, we can take. Yeah, I'm just hoping chess.com doesn't give me like 1,000 elo for winning this game, because I really don't want the rating. Okay, here I guess I was looking at this sacrifice, but it doesn't really make sense. Take, check. Maybe it does make sense, but if I take here, he can just take. Now let's go for this. This is a pretty fancy move, but why not just go for it? So take. There we go. Take the chicken. And here we go. We are completely dominating here. Pretty straightforward win. Now let's push the pawns. I should have traded rooks there, actually. That would have been the best move. Okay, let's do it anyway. There's no back rank mate because the knight can block. But it's best to trade off pieces. Now we can just keep pushing. Simple stuff, guys. Simple stuff. Simple stuff so far. No problems. No problems at the moment. Wait, can I maybe force his knight off the board by playing this? Like here, his only move is that. Okay, now I can go there. Okay, let's just keep pushing. Why not? Maybe bishop here would be good. Let's go bishop here. Why not? Now threatening this, maybe there's some checkmate here. I think there is actually. I think he has to go knight here. Can't believe my opponent's still playing. Okay, well now we have the option to just take. So he is pinned though, so I don't really see the need to do anything here. This move just wins us a clean knight. So if you see here, guys, I can just take, which is a completely fine move because I'm completely winning. But we have a way of actually winning this knight without even losing a piece, without even trading. We can just cleanly win it. So if I play this check here, he cannot capture because he's pinned. And he cannot go there. He cannot go there. He can't defend the knight. So you simply play this. The king has to separate itself from the piece, and then you just take. And it's a completely free piece. So, kind of an instructive moment. I think the term for that is a type 2 undefended piece. Sorry, a type 2 defended piece. I think Daniel Naroditsky used to say something like that. Like when a piece only has one defender. There's a way of describing it. Okay, we've got to be careful that we don't draw here with a stalemate. So he can push here, I'll just take. There's no stalemate tricks. Come on. We could mess with our opponent here. We could promote all of our pieces to a queen or whatever, but it's not really worth it. So yeah, let's just push again. Hold on, is there some stalemate if he plays this? Here, take. Wait, did he actually have a stalemate here? Look, if he pushes this here, and I take, I don't think his king has anywhere to go. Well, how's there, I guess. Yeah, he can go there. It's not a stalemate. I'm a bit blind. Okay, let's promote to a donkey. Here we go. Why not? This just feels rude at this point. This just feels rude. I feel a bit rude. Come on. Okay, let's promote another donkey. Why the hell not? He's not resigning. He's not resigning. He's not resigning the chicken at all. Let's put the chicken in bed. Here we go. Right, let's promote to another chicken. There we go. Got 3 donkeys on the board here. Look. 1, 2, 3. Right, let's actually just stop messing around. Let's go for checkmate here. Should be straightforward. This is a ladder mate. So it's a 3-way ladder mate, you could say. He has to go here, but then there's a mate here. Alright, nice. That's our first game, and we got 56 rating points. It's not exactly what I wanted, but yeah, pretty overwhelming victory there. Okay,
you got a nice tactical find in this game.
Okay,
let's review.
To talk to me. Okay, 90% accuracy. And by the way, guys, you see these things here where it estimates your rating? This is purely like relative to your actual rating on the website. So don't take this too seriously, because, you know, on my other account, on my main account, it would say that I played like a 2500 or something. Like, it's all relative to your actual rating. Also, they don't give out brilliant moves equally to everybody. Depends on your rating whether they give a brilliant move or not. So for some reason, it's being quite stingy with what it calls a blunder in this game. If you look at this game only had 1 blunder apparently, but my opponent made quite a few what I would consider blunders. I've never seen this stuff as well. Keep reviewing until you master every skill. Okay, this is just silly. Right, let's play another game. Here we go. Game number 2. Not going to spend too long reviewing these games. I'll start reviewing games later on, but I'm trying to be descriptive of what's going on in the moment. So when the games get higher rated, maybe, you know, 1,000 plus, that's when I'll start reviewing games and really going into more detail and analyzing them. Okay, so another Queen's Gambit here. We're getting lucky with the white pieces. Queen's Gambit accepted as this. There we go. Instructive moment. You put the 2 chickens in the middle and control the center here. The idea is that, you know, black tries to hold on to the pawn. Okay, so it's an interesting move by black. I'm actually not so sure what the idea is in these positions. I think you're supposed to push, but I might be mistaken. I'm really new to the Queen's Gambit. It's just making my experience playing chess more interesting, so I'm playing it more often and getting decent results with it, even though I don't know much theory about the Queen's Gambits. So here we go. Pawn's hanging. We're going to take this pawn whenever we can. We're going to get our pieces out. We're going to castle. It's always very good advice for beginners in chess. You know, something in chess, guys, is you have to learn the principles of chess, and then once you get better, you have to learn how to break them. So we can just safely capture here. Another thing beginners do is they see a confrontation on the board like this, and they'll immediately capture and panic and think they have to do something. Whereas you can just win a pawn back by taking here, and then we can play... What do we want to play here? Because if we go bishop takes, he can swing his knight out this way or this way and attack the bishop. I don't really want to give up the bishop. But is it such a big deal if I do? Also, if pawn takes, this pawn's going to be very weak. So I kind of think we should just take this way. There's also this idea now with a check, Also, remember, guys, checks, captures, attacks in that order. You know, my opponent doesn't have any checks here. I have a nasty check here. If he plays this, he's probably fine. But then obviously I would capture here. So he's losing in that line. Okay, so he plays what... I mean, I think this is just losing now, because we play this check. The knight has to come out to attempt to defend this bishop, but then we play takes with check, and then we can sweep up the piece, and there we go, we're just up a piece. Bang. So now he's probably going to be tempted to capture here. And the question is, what do we want to do in that position? Do we take the pawn, or do we take the knight? I think I'd be tempted to take with the knight. Yeah, so again, I'm looking for checks. I'm looking if my opponent has any checks. He doesn't. So let's swing out the knight. He can't castle as well, which is very unfortunate for him. This move is probably going to be played here. And I don't really want to step off this diagonal with my queen, because otherwise he's going to come in with a check. So I'm kind of expecting the knight to come out. I don't want to overcommit my queen here and take on b7. Okay, that feels like a very, very passive move. Now I think this is very natural. Very, very natural to take here. If he checks me, we can just throw out the bishop. I know I was just saying I want to stay on this diagonal, but when the attack is too good, the attack's too good. Now we're threatening this move. We're threatening a lot of stuff. Actually, if queen here... Whoa. Okay, he blunders his knight. Like, he's blundered his knight and his rook in the same move. So, yeah, I can either go check here, winning his rook completely, or we can just take here with check. It's a more simple move. More of a forcing move. If he goes here... What do we do? Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to go in for this check, but I'm not sure it actually does anything. So, ooh, there's a fancy move, folks. There's a fancy move. I don't know if you can see if this works or not. But if I take his rook, queen takes, we go in with a fork, and we sweep up the queen. And then we're just up a rook as well. But the problem is he doesn't have to take. So if I go... Actually, he does have to take because there's a pin. Why am I even thinking about this? Let's take here. It's not even a move you have to calculate, really. There we go. We can take the chicken. And by the way, what I was worried about there was... If take, I was wondering about this check, but he obviously can't move because he's pinned. Okay, right, let's go... So our knight's trapped here, so let's get it out. There's only one way to do that, to get out, to pull out the knight here. Here we go. Right, again, only one move really to save the knight. Put it here where it's safe. Makes sense. I mean, we've not even developed here. We've got 4 pieces on the back rank, and we're completely winning. We're completely winning. So... It goes to show, guys, if you are a complete beginner in chess, like, it's actually very simple to get started. Right, let's develop here with check. When you play a move like this, it's usually referred to as developing with tempo. Because you're sort of improving a piece and forcing him to make a useless move. Effectively, that's what playing with tempo means. Okay, so I don't want his king to keep coming forward because I want to develop my pieces here. So I'm looking at this move. I don't want him to like come in and take here. We can probably play a more simple move like rook here. Let's just play rook here. The rook comes in. Now we can safely develop the knight, castle, put the chicken in bed, put the chicken in the corner of the board, and comfortably win the game. Simple stuff. Simple stuff, folks. It's It's not rocket science, you know, winning at this elo. If you are below 1,000, like, I think getting to 1,000 is achievable for literally anybody. 2,000, I don't think it is very feasible for most people. Okay, he's just, again, this is a good opportunity to show you what playing with tempo means. We can improve a piece. We're connecting our pawns here. We've got this beautiful little pawn chain. We can tuck our king in bed. F2 is a good square for the king here. And we're kicking his bishop away. You would say here that black is kind of losing a move. Again, this is tempting to play. He's losing a move again. We're improving a piece. We're thrusting a piece forwards. And yeah, okay. So here I'm just going to develop the knight. We're going to put the chicken in bed, put the king on like F2. Not sure if this makes a huge difference whether we castle or play king F2. Okay, my opponent just loses a piece. Let's take here. I could have maybe taken with the other pawn. I think he's made a mistake here. He's blundered because if I take, he can't recapture the knight because it's defended. Okay, let's take again. He's just giving me the whole kingdom of marshmallows here. Okay. I can just maybe capture here, but then he can play rook here and take down here. So I don't really fancy that. Yeah, let's just put the king on F2. Put the chicken in bed like we always said. Okay, in this position, you guys should be looking for checks, and he's actually made a huge blunder here, so this is quite an instructive move as well. So, can you guys see how to win the chicken in 2 moves? You can capture this piece for free in 2 moves. Well, not quite for free, but you can win material here in 2 moves. The move is this. Bang, check. He now has to capture, and because the rook's undefended, we come sweeping in and we claim the rook. Simple stuff. Bang. Completely winning. Yeah. May have to be careful of stalemate because his king doesn't have that many squares to run to, but should be fine. And he's got these pawns he can move forwards. He might resign here. If my opponent does decide to like abandon the game, run out the clock, I'm not going to spare you guys. I will spare you guys the pain. I'm not going to make you sit here for 5 minutes if my opponent just wastes time. I think he's wasting time, guys. I don't know what he's doing. Alright guys, my opponent did abandon the game. I just cut the video, so let's play another game. We got 48 elo for that. So unfortunately we might be getting to 1,000 quicker than we thought. Now we're playing a guy from Brazil. Now a good little tactic, guys, I showed this on my first video. What you can do is you can distract your opponent by asking them silly questions in the chat. It's always a good little tactic. We're going to get 43 elo if we win this. So something I've been playing here, guys, against d4 is the simple move d5, which is the most common move played against d4. But it turns out it's actually pretty good. Now, I used to be an absolute stubborn monkey, and I used to always play this like Caro-Kann setup with c6 and d5 and build up that way and like bring the knight. But now I've started playing the like Queen's Gambit reversed, which is actually pretty good for me. It's going pretty well for me. Normally they don't capture at the higher levels. But again, we get this similar kind of shape as last game, where we can push and the chicken's hanging. So the right move here for white is probably to just hang on to the pawn. And then the move for black would be a5 to destabilize the pawn chain. Then he sort of goes there. Okay. So he throws the chicken out. Now we can throw this little chicken in the way. The bishop can still capture here. So just a rundown of what I'm thinking here is we want to get our kingside pieces out. We want to develop our pieces, bring the pieces out here, castle, put the chicken in bed, and we want to develop that way. So he just lets us capture, not sure why. Let's develop. Valid question is, do we put the knight here or here? It's a valid question. You've also got to think this pawn's undefended, and it's not easy to defend it. He's got to play knight here. And then he can't technically add another defender now. Problem is, the queen can't really come out this way because the knight. So, yeah, I guess we'll just throw this knight forward. Now the pawn's undefended. Now he has to play this move or queen here. Okay, he's missed it, but I can't technically do what I want. So, I think we can win pawn here. No, I don't think we can. I don't think we can. If he plays the perfect moves, I think he hangs on to a pawn. But if we throw the chicken out here on the side of the board with a check, there's a chance that he will relinquish this pawn. Because if he goes at c, now I think I just capture. Because the problem is, guys, if I go here, the knight can take, develop itself, and then this pawn's defended. And then I can't capture the chicken, you see? Whereas if I go here, he can capture the queen, I can safely take back, and everything's just kind of fine for me. So the problem though is this chicken here, but then he gets forked. So if I take back with the knight, then he goes, oh my god, I win a piece, but then bang, you fork him with f6. So I think that's the sort of meta strategy here. He comes in thinking he's claimed a chicken, and then bang, f6 comes in, and he's actually going to lose a piece. So here, this does make things more challenging because I think I'm fine here, you know, I think I'm completely fine because if he decides to now take, we just take the chicken this way. And I think we're completely fine. I didn't really think about this, but yeah, this is hanging. There's no point going f6. We can win a piece anyway. So, the only problem here, though, guys, is if take... There is an idea of take, and instead of panicking, you just put the chicken in bed quietly. You play like king f8 or something, or castle. I think we castle. I think that's actually the valid move. So bishop takes is probably the worst move here, because then the whole tactic sort of dies on its arse. But... oh, okay, well, forget that then. Yeah, he did have quite an exciting line there, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. So let's just castle. There's no point trying to attack the knight here, because it's a pretty bad piece anyway. We can play check. We can play some interesting moves. Maybe like d3. D3 is quite a common idea in these lines. Yeah, this I guess you would call an isolated queen's pawn. So if you're relatively new at chess and watching this, the idea of an isolated queen's pawn is a fascinating one, because it's highly debated whether it's a good thing or bad thing for whoever has it. And the idea is that basically, if you have the isolated queen's pawn, IQP for short, you're kind of giving your opponent... let's create this pin here. He's just losing now. If you have the IQP, the idea is that you're giving your opponent this target to kind of build around. And, you know, like you could play this and this, you could put a rook here, you could you could just keep building up pressure on this piece and ultimately win it, and then get more space on the board. And so, yeah, it's normally Normally not a crazy idea to just like sacrifice the IQP and then give him the same problem. And then you build around that piece, like you'd play this and then put the rook here and stuff. So in this position... I think we can win a pawn here, can't we, by going f6. I think we can win a pawn. I think I'm going to go for this. So he takes my knight, we check him here, and then we win this pawn. I think that's the simplest way, and then he can't even castle. So it's a very simple move. I mean, I guess he can technically castle, but he doesn't play it, of course. Let's take, reclaim a pawn, and then we're just up a pawn again. Then we're up full piece and equal pawns on the board. So, yeah, let's take here. This pawn's hanging. We're going to develop this piece maybe with check, bring the other rook, and it should be good night. So let's throw in a check, develop the bishop, and okay, so let's develop, put the chicken on the open file. There we go. Okay, now things get quite slippery here. Is that checkmate? It could be, nearly. It's not, but nearly is. Nearly is. So close to being checkmate here. Like, he's playing a very risky game. If I play this, he's only got that square. And then maybe check. Oh, let's go for this. Let's just keep putting pressure on. So he's only got this square, then we can play this. Then he has to block, maybe. Well, he doesn't have to, but he's got to be careful. Okay, now we can play this, I guess, and then forcefully trade off the rooks. Yeah, good position, to say the least. It's a very good position. Okay, so let's... I mean, he's giving me this for free, so let's just take it. A very silly move from my opponent. Very silly guy. Okay, let's take the pawn. En passant. And now, let's go in again. Ignore this threat. It's not a threat. Dictate the play. Dictate the game. Go in with a stronger move. And, actually... do we have this move? Let's go in for this. Let's throw in some more checks. He can go there. But then we can just win a piece. I don't really care about this bishop. But we don't need to actually lose the... Oh, I wish he played that because it would have been quite instructive. So... don't think I can sacrifice here, can I? Take, knight takes. No, that doesn't work. Let's just go here. Save the bishop. This probably wasn't a good move because now the rook can't move here. I mean, it can't anyway because of this pawn, but you want to give your pieces as much breathing room as possible. You know, maybe the rook wanted to come here, but now it can't. Okay, he plays this and trades. Now we can just trade off the rooks. We can trade off the rooks, or we can create this really annoying pin, and I think I'd rather do that. I think it's better to do this, actually. So let's play this. It's a more annoying move. Okay, now we can play this. Now we're really putting pressure on. If he goes here, we can play here, but nothing helps. We can just take it for free. Right, let's take the pawn with a check. Actually, I could have won his rook there, but I failed to see that. Okay, he resigns. Alright, nice. Okay, so we're at like half an hour here. I'm going to end the video here, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learnt a lot if you are around this rating level. I know the games will get more interesting. I'm kind of steamrolling the opponents. It's not really fair for them. But hopefully the games become more interesting as time goes on. I think we've had some instructive moments. And yeah, I'll be posting a lot, so please subscribe. to the channel. And yeah, thank you for watching.